Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
Professor Ogenga Latigo, together with the counsel Samuel Mwenda, one of the lawyers representing Dr. Besigye, our frontliner, and someone who is already warming up to be an MP for older persons. You must be. We suspect you are. Plus, of course, Honorable Semuju Ibrahim Mwenda, our frontliner, Member of Parliament, Kira Municipality, and one of the top brass in the PFF. Good to have you all, and a very good evening. I'll start with you, Counsel Sam. You seem to have hit so many dead ends in the trial of Dr. Besigye. Do you buy into this notion that it has since shifted from legal to politics?
Thank you so much, Simon. Good evening to our viewers. Of course, we do not buy into that notion that has shifted from being legal to politics, because whatever has been argued, at least for us in the courts, it has been legal, and the judiciary has failed actually to do what it is supposed to do.
What do you mean by failure?
It's now over a year that doctor was arrested, and upon arrest we were told we have enough evidence to prosecute this person and have him even convicted because he's guilty of the offenses. But to date, we've not had the matter take off for hearing, and neither has even the prosecution shown that it's ready to prosecute the matter. Because for us in legal terms, you only show that you're ready when you disclose to the opposing party what you intend to rely on in your evidence.
1 year down
what
the
we call
road,
disclosure.
1 year down the road, what more do you have to do, and how far can you go?
What more we have to do is that we shall keep on representing Doctor and Obeidul Tale. And what more can we do? We shall do what we can. As lawyers, we shall make all the necessary applications. We understand some judicial officers have failed to man up and exercise their judicial power judiciously as demanded by the Constitution. But that does not mean that we should give up on the fight and quest for their freedom. That's something we shall do until the last day we can do it.
Okay, as a lawyer, speaking as a lawyer, what does 1 year of this judicial ping pong mean to you and the team?
The 1 year of judicial ping pong, as you've called it, to us is devastating. Because we are all aware that everyone is entitled to a speedy and fair trial and before an impartial tribunal or court. So if we spend a year without anything taking off and someone's liberty is curtailed for that time, even all his quests for getting temporary liberty as the prosecution and the court sort themselves out have all been denied. To us, it's an abuse, actually, of process. It's an abuse of power given to judicial officers by the Constitution. And it's times like this that we long for judicial officers that Uganda had before.
Prof, what a shame that you've betrayed your colleague. You've not visited him, nor checked on him, nor commented about his incarceration.
I don't know whether that judgment or what a shame as a basis, because you would first have asked me why it has not happened. I can tell you that it has not happened for a number of reasons. You know, when Dr. Besigye returned from South Africa, from exile, we welcomed him. I literally led him to the north. We went up to Rukungiri, and we sat down. with Rosindana, and we advised, said, tomorrow when you are going to talk to people, give the country a positive tone. And when we finished, we came to Madaada, we finished, I drove back. When I drove back, I knew that we were going to have a problem, because I drove back the next day, my driver wasn't there. Only to find him dumped in Kakira. And when Dr. Besigye came, he got arrested. We went to Central Police with Salam Musumba and the other group, and accusations were leveled against him, many. And out of all those, none was ever proven. So again, for me, when I heard that he was arrested, and by the way, I wish I had kept, there was a similar allegation involving Dr. Besigye and Sam Muzungu, and it appeared on WhatsApp when I was in the Pan-African Parliament, but somehow it disappeared. So for me, I would rather not go and demonstrate sympathy than stand back, and when I have a chance, and wherever I had a chance, I'll speak out. Because what happened to Dr. Besigye is not about criminality, it's not about political mischief on his part. It is something that I don't know when we as a country will leave it. That politics in Uganda is enmity, if you don't agree with somebody. And it makes President Museveni look too vindictive. That they were in the bush with Dr. Besigye, and that Dr. Besigye decided when he stood in 2001 that what was happening was unacceptable. If the president had recognized that, you would not be asking me why I did not go to visit Dr. Besigye. And I would like to stick to that position more than anything else.
1 year down the road, what is your take on the way, on the lukewarmness towards discussing the fate of Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye on the political landscape?
For me, and I said it, of this common arrest that we see in Uganda, the idea is that those who potentially will cause problems in the elections must be silenced. And the arrest of Dr. Besigye and Obed Kamleje was about this election. And I'm sorry that the lawyers will do whatever they can, but the issue of Dr. Besigye will not be resolved before this election is held. After the election, then funny things will happen, and then they will release him. Because in the situation where we are in now, a voice against the continued presidency of Yoweri Museveni, the most powerful voice would be Dr. Besigye. And particularly given that Buganda or central Uganda has turned its back on President Museveni. The biggest fear is that if Dr. Besigye is there and mobilizes people in the West, then there'll be a crisis. And he has that capacity to mobilize, because when you go, yes, the few people who have means have benefited from this rule. They will want it to continue. But when you go to the West, and you come like me from the North, sometimes you really get shocked to see some people who are even worse off than people from the North.
Thank you. What's your take on Besigye's first anniversary in prison? Government initially and its spinners were telling the world how they had credible evidence linking him to rebellion and attempts to topple government.
I'm first of all tempted to smile at how Professor Latigo has scuttled and refused to answer or avoided to answer your question directly. And then he goes ahead to enumerate the qualities, trials and tribulations of Dr. Besigye, which should, from what he has said, should have propelled him to visit such a good man, quote and unquote. But anyway, whatever motivated to avoid your question, you remember the government at the time, I no longer speak for the government, but the government at the time said, particularly the president, said we want Besigye tried before a court-martial, which was going to be expeditious, and his lawyers, his funds brought so many gymnastics, and eventually that was abandoned. Probably if we had gone that route, the trial would have been expeditious, and the evidence would have been presented, trial takes off, and either a conviction or freedom is granted. We chose then to go the civil courts. In the civil courts, I'm told, they are independent. So we can't even inquire into why. There must be plausible legal reasons why his lawyers haven't secured for him bail. And you remember they even imported somebody from abroad who was better than, I think, they brought her because she's better than the lawyers of Uganda. The lawyers of Uganda. So I need to question her goodness, her expertise on cases like this, why they haven't secured. But I don't think Dr. Besigye has any bearing. He's going to say, in any case, is it the only one there? Or in a similar case? As you know, we have Jamiri Mukuru since 2015, 2016. Yes, terrorism, similar. I didn't say the same, similar. Jamiri Mukuru, to the best of my knowledge, his case hasn't been concluded. I want to believe that is the pace of the civil courts in matters like this, matters that are serious, that are delicate. I have not been particularly interested in following what goes on to Besigye in court to know in detail the kind of presentation his lawyers have made. But I am compelled to suspect that his lawyers probably have been staging filibuster, judicial filibuster, so that even that we don't even reach the level of presenting the evidence. That's how I see it.
Isn't this part of the trail?
Even as a casual observer. Now, about whether he has a bearing in the politics of the day, no. First of all, Besigye has been around with us. He has never moved a needle in that Western Uganda Professor is talking about. We can go and check, you can ask your researchers here to check the percentage of what you call Western Uganda that Besigye was able to mobilize to the detriment and to the collapse of the NRM, or indeed the candidature or policy direction of the NRM. So I don't think by the time Besigye got himself in this current issue of attempting to planning to assassinate the president of Uganda, I think, as the Wagandans say, the bone marrow, he no longer had the political bone marrow. He was no longer as appealing as he was before. And that explains, in my view, why Professor Latigo and people like him, who are hitherto closer to him. You remember, by the time Besigye got involved, I don't think Professor was still as close to Dr. Besigye politically. You remember, Professor had almost abandoned FDC. He was no longer participating in FDC politics. So I suspect the reason he hasn't visited, he's no longer as close as before. And also the reason why you don't hear the Kizza Besigye vibe in this election. Tell me 1, 2 presidential candidates. Tell me 1, 2, 3 parliamentary candidates, even of PFF or FDC or NUP or UPC, who are raising Besigye's issues on their campaign platform. To him, I think to them, it really no longer matters.
Thank you. Honorable Semuju, why hasn't the Besigye, Lutale, and other prisoners issue, political prisoners, not gripped the political conversation around elections?
First of all, when the subject matter of discussion is Besigye, you can see he's even taking water.
You're the one who has finished your water.
When the issue is Besigye, I am only shocked that he's not as tense as usually he is when he's Besigye. I don't know what Besigye did to you, Fonopono.
Today I'm ready to make the trouble who is a loyalist.
Let me start with the politics before I answer the issue. Museveni is the one who helped Akena to be the UPC president until this election. You remember in 2001, when the Warubiris registered the first victory in court against Akena. It was towards the election.
2001, Akena was not yet in Uganda. Because his father had died. Obote died in 2005, that's when Akena returned.
Said 2011.
No, you had said 2001.
Sorry. But, so the Electoral Commission faced a similar problem. Which faction of UPC do you recognize? And Museveni ordered them to recognize the faction of Akena. Today, Museveni cannot afford to lose Rango. So he says, you Akena, you must not be on the ballot. But this Akena, the same situation has been obtaining since 2011. It is only this time that they are stopping him from contesting. Besigye, and it doesn't matter the percentage. Museveni wants to win this election by winning the north and the east and the west, because he has given up on the central region. That he has done. Even when you speak to NRM people privately, they will tell you, if you can get something like 50% in Uganda, because I am told by a friend, in the last election after declaring results, Museveni, instead of celebrating, was in a funeral-like mood, having lost Uganda. Because he wanted to continue presenting himself as a savior of Uganda, someone who fought the war here. That's why he started his campaigns in Ruwero. Dr. Besigye is still a factor in the Western Uganda. You can only disagree on the percentages. His absence, even when you look at the last election, I have spoken to a minister who told me, if Besigye contested the last election and Bob Wine, you're going to lose. And you're still losing an election. Look, in the last election, Museveni got just about 50%, even after cheating and falsifying results. Any slightest drop, because we are not any other country where we win by a simple majority. You must have 50 plus. And that's why Akena must not be a candidate. And the judiciary hasn't changed, the judgments of courts haven't changed, they have remained the same judgments, but this time Museveni said, you will not be a candidate because with you I will lose in Lango, without you, chances are high I will win. So I wanted to deal with that, because the elections, a candidate doesn't have to have higher percentages. The moment he causes a reduction, it means you are in trouble. But
if
also,
Besigye really mattered, why wouldn't it be a topic of discussion?
But also, Besigye before his abduction from Kenya, he was spearheading the unity of the opposition, meeting, going to National Unity Platform, meeting other people, but also fundraising, going into the region, going to the continent. And that's why they had stopped him at the time that they did. So Ofonopondo may casually say, Besigye, you cannot, things have changed. Let me now go to, shortly before I answer the question, ask to the things that have changed in Uganda. You asked the council. In 2005, when Besigye was arrested, at that time, Museveni, I think, was still in charge of the country, of course, with the help of the Tinyefuzas and others. But also you had the Ogolas and others in courts of law. And they knew this matter was never going to be resolved in courtroom. And that's why Ogola was shuttling between Luzira and I think State House, asking Besigye, now you accept the house arrest. We have spoken to the man in the house arrest, he has accepted. And then Besigye said, no, I am not accepting. This matter, we are angry with Baguma, who is presiding over the case of Besigye, and I don't want to, but it's not a matter that is going to be resolved in courts of law. And I agree with the Professor Gengalatiko. Because immediately Besigye is abducted, Museveni's son, who now is like number 2 in the country, says you are going to kill you. Fonopondo says Besigye wanted to assassinate Museveni. But Besigye has been arrested on many other offenses. Professor has told you he was even being accused some time back that he wanted to kill Museveni with a Muzungu. It's not the first time that this accusation is coming up. But for you, I can sympathize with you, because if that's what you have been told, that's what you must say. Accused of rape, accused of rape.
Once, does that prevent you from
not
trying?
Once.
I'm saying,
yes.
If you have failed twice, 10 times, does that prevent you from trying again?
Besigye has been before court. First of all, the charges that are before court, there is nothing like assassinating Museveni. Maybe it's treason, it is terrorism, it is procurement of firearms. Interestingly,
if you have a pinhole camera, yeah.
Interestingly, when you look at the committee, the papers, even me, I am there, that I was holding meetings with Besigye in countries I have never visited. I have never been to Athens, I have never been to Denmark, I have never been to all those countries. The only country where I have been, but not with Besigye, is Kenya. But they said, Ofono, you need to read. You're going to be embarrassed if you read that document. That me, I've been going with Besigye to hold meetings in those countries. I have never in my life traveled with Besigye anywhere. So this is a concoction, but you who work for government, you have every reason to believe it. So why isn't Besigye
a big issue for political campaigns?
Yes, because you need to understand the background to this. Besigye never contested the last election, but he also never participated. The politics, you also need to change and be honest. The rise of Bob Wine in the last elections made him the key opposition presidential candidate. He's the one who will choose which issues to address when he's addressing campaign rallies. The rest of us are speaking about Besigye. You'll even see many of us have our posters together with Besigye. At my rally, when I was launching, I began by prayer. This week we declared a prayer. We have candidates of Ofonopondo, at least about...
Actually, in the afternoon, we went to visit a farmer beyond Kasangati. And I found guys campaigning for councillors of Kasangati Town Council or something like that. And I even commented, I said, I've not heard this song for a long time. Yes.
Yes. So, Ofonopondo, your ignorance does not shield you from...
Is what?
Because...
I confess to that, but I'm saying...
Yeah.
Are you waiting for Chagulanyi to talk about Besigye?
I have told you that we are talking about him.
And you're not talking about him as we expect, okay. As the public probably expects.
Why isn't you talk about Besigye?
Answer your question. I admit my ignorance of that.
Yes, I have told you.
That exposes you actually.
I have told you, us in PPF at every rally, we begin with Dr. Besigye, and not just Dr. Besigye, but freedom of other Uganda. And that's why deliberately, even our party is called the People's Front for Freedom. It's not just Besigye's freedom. We are talking about the freedom of everybody. And the many things that have changed about Uganda, because not only Besigye in prison. The last time I visited him, Besigye is isolated alone in his cell, but Haji Obed Lutale shares a cell with about 4 NOP guys, others are in other cells. So this is not just about Besigye. You actually want to think that, that's why we are telling our candidates when we are launching our campaigns as an institution, that these other things of roads and water and electricity are important. But the most important thing is freedom for Uganda. If you want me to zero on Besigye, maybe you're also not addressing the issue of freedom. For us, the freedom is the main issue, the main theme of our campaign.
Before I shift to another guest, do you feel a sense of betrayal that your colleagues with whom Besigye was trying to forge a relationship are not really taking the Besigye matter and the issues of political prisoners as seriously as they ought to?
But I have told you it is not only Besigye that is in prison. Even their own members and supporters are
Besigye is an
prison.
embodiment of political prisoners.
Are in prison, but presidential candidates sometimes are under immense pressure. People are going to be asking you for your program. You can't go to a rally and then Besigye is your program. You want to address these other issues. For us, we said Besigye and other political prisoners and freedom is our main and central theme of this campaign. But the others, depending on which pressures they are facing, because every day you're going to be asked, what are you offering that is different from 7?
Yes, I'll come to you, Prof. Council.
So for me, at all my rallies, Besigye and freedom is the central issue.
Thank you. Council, do you think the political front has not made enough noise to aid the legal front in securing the justice, the release of Besigye?
Simon, I don't want to blame the political front because I want to believe they have done what they can do in their capacity. When we started in November in the General Court Martial, you would see political leaders from all the political parties, I think, the opposition, the major ones, standing with Doctor. And even to date, at High Court, you will see some of them coming. The issue we have is that it's not that they have not drummed enough for him or that they have betrayed him. The issue we have is the collapse of institutions. And to me, it's what we should be addressing. Even in a situation where the opposition politicians will march, I know some who have been arrested for demonstrating the abduction.
Yeah, but you had also said you've been doing a lot of filibustering.
His gestures are misplaced because he does not even know the offenses Dr. Kizza Besigye is charged with. He says he was trying to assassinate the president. To the best of my knowledge, what is in court is treason and misprision of treason. And where I say we are trying to overthrow, but not assassinate the president of Uganda.
Yeah, but there was a template. The first template had assassination.
Yeah, and the template, and you could see who were the spin masters for that.
That was not even in court.
It was not court.
Yeah.
It was
because
even in court,
this by Opono and his colleagues.
Because
but in the court there are different issues.
Even in the General Court Martial, they did not talk about assassinating the president. It was offenses related to national security, having firearms which have Kenyan numbers, and then having bullets.
So OO had a wrong brief.
No. OO has followed the case in media.
What were those for eventually? What were those for? What was trying to gather? What were they for eventually?
See,
he was not gathering anything.
He didn't gather anything.
I'm saying what he was trying to gather.
He was gathering nothing.
Well,
not even trying.
But maybe Simon, to answer.
But you're saying he has arms with the Kenyan number.
That's the accusation.
That's the accusation.
Yeah. So his attempt to gather those, to have meetings with the people, was to what end eventually? But anyway.
Or you can insinuate what you want to say.
I'm not insinuating.
Simon,
I'm not
to
insinuating.
answer that question is, as the lawyers, we have a duty, not only to our client, but even to the nation, that someone should not be unjustly tried.
Yeah, but you're at a juncture where politics is overtaking law.
I think it's irrationality and not thinking that is overtaking the law. Because as I indicated earlier, had we been having judicial officers we had previously in this country, Honorable Justice Ogola, Katusi, you could see even with the nature of offenses he had been tried with before, they released him on bail, admitted him on bail. Even when he wanted to travel out of the country, with those offenses prevailing, he sought permission from court, traveled and came back. Now we have a judicial officer who takes us through almost an entire day. And then she comes back to read the ruling and then says he has met all the conditions for bail. And the last line is that, but this is a serious offense, so I cannot admit him on bail. Now, tell me if that is politics overtaking the law. To me, that is...
Yeah, but it looks as though...
someone not using their judicial
it looks as
power.
though the hurdles now are insurmountable. You're bound to have this back and forth for another year.
We are bound to have it. I don't want to shy from that. And I mean, the client has been very clear not to be prosecuted in a particular court.
Prof, is it time to take a political alternative in securing Besigye's freedom and the freedom of other political prisoners? And in this, to be specific, could dialogue or a plea to President Museveni grant Besigye his freedom?
Well, these new guys who have been in prison for nearly now 5 years, the only group that is out was the one that Barugahari negotiated. The others have never been tried at all. For 5 years they are there, they don't even know.
Prof, could the political alternative work?
You see, the act itself was politics, but very wrong politics. And to play politics with it is to give it credibility. So for me, even not going to see Besigye in court is a bigger statement than going to see him.
Hmm?
Yes, because let the lawyers sort it out, let ultimately the courts show Ugandans that they stand for the law and they stand for everybody. And thirdly, let the president see in the end what gains he makes. By the way, where the President Museveni is now, when you are in the tail end of your journey, you don't want to encumber yourself with basic things. Tail end is the time...
Where does President Museveni come in here?
Well, this is his government. Ufono, Pondo, there is, but...
But I thought you were the one who said that institutions work.
No.
They are failed. So what are you doing there? Why don't you stay away?
No.
I'm asking the lawyer, if you think the courts are not up to...
No.
Why don't you stay away?
No. You see...
You are the ones who say that institutions work.
No.
Now, why do you want the president to cross
I'm not,
into an area which is
that is not what I said.
Hey.
I am here.
Hey.
What I'm saying is that let them expose the institutions for what they are. If the courts are genuine, they would know that the conduct of that particular case, as it is now, harms their image, not only in the eyes of Ugandans, but even in their own records as judges and the judicial institution of this country.
That's blackmail.
You see?
Yeah, that's blackmail.
You see?
The same courts deliver to you favorable judgments, not so? In other cases.
Where? Which case?
You don't know people have been charged. You are the ones who have
no,
just said.
You said it delivered to me.
No, I'm using you in plural.
No.
You Ugandans in plural.
I'm speaking for
the same courts. The same courts have granted bail. The question should be, why are they not granting bail in this particular case?
There were different judicial officers who had respect.
Maybe that's what we should argue.
Who had respect actually for the rule of law and the Constitution.
Maybe that's what we should argue.
No.
Proceed.
The lawyer already said that in his opening statement, unless you were not paying attention. But let me tell you, when Ofonopondo speaks about wanting to kill the president, they create a diversion so that the actual issue is not ingrained in the minds of...
What is the issue?
The issue is that the arrest of Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale.
Who's Obed to be looked for? If he was not either circumstantial or in fact was at the scene.
No.
Who had known his politics here that he is such a big man?
Who said he was arrested because he was such a big man?
No. I'm making an argument because you are saying the arrest is targeting this election. That there is they don't want alternative big voice on this election. That's what you're saying.
Ofonopondo, why don't you let me speak?
That's what you said.
And at your turn.
Let's have a conversation. It's okay.
Yeah, it is okay, but I'm also being very deliberate about it. By the way, 2 or 3 days ago, it was the NRM leadership in Rukungiri who said this arrest of Dr. Besigye is going to have a negative impact on us. In other words, in the eyes of the people of Rukungiri.
So for the first time, Professor Latigo has sympathies for NRM losing votes.
No, not me.
For the first time, you have sympathies.
No.
You're worried that NRM will lose votes.
Why? Let me finish my argument.
I'm going to go on.
That is what your leaders from Rukungiri said. For me, I'm reading the implication. The implication is that they know that Besigye is innocent. And the people of Rukungiri also know that Besigye is innocent. Otherwise, if they knew that he was a bandit, they would not make that statement. And by the way, some of us feel sympathies for you guys.
That we shall lose votes.
No, it's not about votes. It's not about votes. You are coming into this thing at the tail end of...
No, I have been there for 4 decades, my brother. Don't think that because somebody is not in parliament, is not in politics.
No.
You know, I have been the spokesperson of this party and the presidential campaign. Is that not being in politics and campaigns?
That is not being in politics.
Oh, you need to read more. You need to read a bit more about what politics is. If you think politics just means people are in parliament.
If it is now going to be an argument between me and...
Please continue.
If you think politics means just people who are in parliament, then you have been in the wrong place, in the wrong occupation.
Did I talk about parliament anywhere?
No, you're saying I'm coming.
What about the LCs?
You're saying I'm coming. What am I coming to at the tail end? What am I coming to at the tail end?
Ofonopondo.
I have been in this politics for 40 years.
Which politics? Of deception?
I don't know whether deception or what, but I've been in politics for the last 40 years, if you don't know.
Well, Professor.
Yes.
Situation that we face now, and we need to deal with it. Look, Kenyans get abducted. The courts of law are moved to order for their release or production. People in charge of security say we don't have them. After some months in prison, Museveni says they were in a fridge, but we have now released them. You have, I have told you in the case of Nope, young boys who were arrested, they have been in prison since 2020, since 2021. They have never been tried. Even when the Supreme Court said that military courts cannot try them, they only transferred one file of Dr. Besigye and left the rest. I want to deal with that situation more than, and I don't want anyone to box me into discussing only Besigye. Because the Kenyans have told you that where they were being held, there are more than 150 other Ugandans who are there. People continue being abducted. We've gone back to where this country was at one time under Obote and the old regimes. We are no longer a country ruled by the law. We are being ruled by the family. If they want you incarcerated, they will choose which prison. The judiciary that you're talking about now, Ofono wants us to celebrate it because sometimes it has given a fair judgment. It must give fair judgments at all times. Don't make us celebrate 1 or 2, 3 judgments that they have issued. At all times, their judgments must be fair, must be legal. But they are also becoming helpless, and they are not joining the fight like it happened under Amin and under
I want us to speak from...
Allow me to develop my point. So where we are now should worry any Ugandan. When the Kenyans were listing people who are in those illegal detention, they say there is even a relative of Otafire. Maybe because Otafire has been speaking against the Mo's Kainerugaba. You go back to what Nyefuza said when he was running to London. He said this Mo's project is going to claim people, and he said at that time they were targeting him and Babas and others. So there is even if you're a person of average intelligence, you will see that Besigye is being targeted because he's mobilizing against this life presidency and family role. And it is not the profile. They don't arrest you because of the base of your profile. These boys and girls who were picked when Chagwanyi was going to Madaada, you don't even know their names. But when a regime is frightened, it begins arresting everybody. I lost relatives.
I want to bring you...
No, kindly allow me. I lost relatives under Obote. They were not in politics. One of them was a taxi driver. But once a regime loses legitimacy and it begins, it targets everybody.
I agree
I want us to approach it from the PR perspective.
I agree with the Honorable Semuju that Uganda should not go back to where Amin had sunk us, where Obote too, particularly had sunk us. And we're not there yet. Because...
Are we taking the route?
No, and we shall not. However, there's this adage. In order to make omelette, you have to break eggs. And that one we can literally transpose onto what's going on. The state of Uganda has been rebuilt. The state of Uganda is responsive, and fairly so. However, the state of Uganda will give a hard tackle to those who don't want to listen and actually scheme, plan to take us back by creating instability. Because they think, as he has said, maybe they think the judicial system is weak, is not as responsive. And so for us, for me, if I see from the intelligence point of view, security intelligence particularly, you need to decapitate. You need to neutralize. Yes, some bones may be broken, but you would have saved bigger problems.
Do you care about the dent that this trial and the drama around it creates on government?
You see,
from the abduction to where we are.
No. You have forgotten Uganda's recent history. There was a time when we had war in three quarters of Uganda. You remember, we were accused in the north by some MPs from there that Kony didn't exist. They said we were the ones who had manufactured Kony, we as NRM. You remember MP said that were deliberately deployed UPDF soldiers in Aswa. Only those that were selected, the ones who had HIV. You remember? I don't know if you remember. There was that dent. But if the dent is built on falsehood, it will not stick. Even this one of Besigye. For the faint-hearted, yes, there's a dent. But there are many other things that give us mileage, credibility, than the arrest.
Abduction is a dent, isn't it?
Even if it's abducted, even if it's abduction, are we the only country that abducts?
We'll take a break.
So please, if you're fainted, this government has many more things that gives it